You know, I had hoped I was going to enjoy my return to Discworld, and let me tell you what, I really, really did. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today, guys, we are doing a book review here. But before we get into that, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And you can check the description box down below for links to all my social media, including links to the Discord and my Patreon if you want to help support the channel. Now, that said, a while ago, I was kind of trying some other Discworld after finishing the City Watch, and it just wasn't hitting the same way the City Watch collection hit for me. And I was struggling. I mean, from the Death collection, which I read in its entirety, didn't really love. The Witches, I read half of that, decided it wasn't for me. I tried Small Gods, and I took an extended break from Discworld. And then along comes Going Postal, which is the first book in the Moist von Lipwig trilogy, and I think it's like the third book in the Industrial Revolution collection. And let me tell you what, I'm going to give my rating right up front, 5 stars. This is amazing. This is right up there with Night Watch in the City Watch collection, which I thought was a flawless book. This was a masterpiece. I believe this is Discworld number, I want to say 33, but like, I think that might include the short stories. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. This book is amazing, and you should 100% read it. Heck, you could even start your Discworld journey here, and I wouldn't really be all that upset about it. You might miss out on some cameos and the payoffs that come along with those cameos, because we do get a lot of cameos or a lot of mentions of the City Watch and the Guard and like Carrot and Angua and Vimes and Nobby Knobs and Colin. All of them are mentioned in this book, and it's amazing. So essentially, what we've got here, we've got a con man who's been caught, and he's about to be hanged. And he's just like, oh, I'm gonna be saved. I'm gonna be saved. And then he's not saved. Only to wake up in front of Lord Vetinari in Angmore Pork. And he is offered a job. And basically, Vetinari's like, hey, I think you'd be a good Postmaster General. You can either take this job, or you can walk out the door behind you, which is, of course, a trap. And so this con man by the name of Moist von Lipwig decides to take the job of revitalizing the postal service in Angmore Pork, which is in itself a task because, as you know in Discworld, it's going to be zany, it's going to be bonkers, it's going to be wild. And the reason that Vetinari wants Moist to do this is because the Grand Trunk Company, which has now been 3 years since the Klax was invented, basically the Klax, there's like, it flashes a light or some paddles or something, and messages can travel long distance very quickly. It's almost like a telegraph sort of deal. And basically, it's been bought up by this company called the Grand Trunk Company, and they have been cutting costs. This is where our villain comes in by the name of Guilt. I forget his first name, but it's like a whole board of directors. They keep slashing costs. They keep slashing the workforce. They cut out on the maintenance, and like they're just running this company into the ground, all while jacking up and maximizing profits, which you always know that Terry Pratchett's going to have to poke something at some societal issue, and here it's board of directors and putting money over people. And so basically, Moist's entire job is to kind of revitalize the post office to compete with the Klax. And this is kind of what he sets out to start doing. And when he gets to the post office, he finds just, it's infested with pigeons, it's shuttered up, no mail has gone out in like 50 years, and so like literally every room in the post office is just crammed full of mail to the point where like the walls are starting to bulge, floors are starting to fail. There have been some mysterious deaths with the recent postmaster generals that he has to investigate, and then he has to deal with Mr. Grote and Stanley. Stanley and Grote live in the basement, in the locker rooms of all things. And Mr. Grote is this kind of aged sort of postman who has never really become senior postman or anything like that. He's trying, before he passes away, he wants to kind of become a little higher up in the hierarchy of the post office, but he doesn't move any mail. And then Stanley is like his apprentice. He's this kind of kid that he's taken in. He's obsessed with collecting pins, which will kind of come into play later as we introduce stamps to Ankh-Morpork. And of course, this kicks off the whole hobby of stamp collecting, which if you're a collector, obviously I am a collector of books. It's so incredibly well done. Mr. Grote is just... He's eccentric in the way that he doesn't trust traditional medicine, so he comes up with all of these, his own remedies, which are all just bonkers and highly unrecommended by doctors. It's fantastic. The characters are so well done, and frankly, I just love to see Moist kind of come into his own, because essentially, Moist's whole shtick is he's a con man, so he's always taking on personas and identities to steal money and do the next great con. And so he's very good at coming up with characters and dealing with people, and that's kind of how he revitalizes the post office, is dealing with people. But he's never had to be Moist von Lipwig since he was a kid, and he ran away to kind of do his own thing. And so while he's revitalizing the post office, he's also discovering who is Moist von Lipwig. And it's just this great, wonderful adventure. It's funny. The story elements are strong because sometimes I feel like Terry Pratchett can get a little lost either in pushing humor or pushing through an issue that he kind of wants to touch base on within the story, and then the adventure or the characterization or the story itself kind of gets shoved to the back. That doesn't happen here in Going Postal. We also get chapters, which surprised me. And it's cool because in the chapters, it'll kind of tell you what to expect from the chapter. So it'll be like, this chapter, where Moist does this, and Stanley does this, and this happens. And then, like, it'll proceed to then give you the chapter as written out. I thought it was fantastic. Now, if you're wanting kind of the footnotes that Terry Pratchett is known for in Going Postal, they are there, but they are definitely light on the footnotes. So there's not a lot of asides. There are some, but not a ton. I would say in comparison to the City Watch collection, we're looking at almost 70% less footnotes in total. Like, I mean, it's a 500-page book, and I only remember maybe 10 to 12 footnotes, which I know in certain Discworld books, there'll be footnotes for pages. It'll be like 2 to 3 a page. Not the case here in Going Postal, but man, does it work. This is pure magic. I enjoy just the invention of the stamps, the revitalization of the post office, the zaniness of competing with the clacks, because, you know, you gotta analyze hey, using the post office versus sending an email, a text message, a phone call, a telegraph is going to be so much slower. And yet, somehow, we find this comfort and the beauty of a handwritten letter and just how meaningful those can be. And even when delivered late, they can have life-changing impacts. It's just all so well done. I don't really want to talk too much on spoilers or anything like that, but please do yourself a favor. If you are even remotely interested in Discworld, you need to read Going Postal. And it doesn't have to be the first Discworld you have to read, but I do recommend you read it. I do recommend you do place it very high on your to-be-read list within the Discworld hierarchy. It's so incredibly good, and frankly, I love these hardcovers edition. They're paper-bound. They're gorgeous. We've got a fire here in the background. We've got just all of these flying letters, and I mean, just reading from this was a delight. I did immersion read this with the audiobook as well, which is amazing. Really good audiobook. Like, I think it was one of the better, more modern audios, because I initially started listening to Discworld on the previous generation of audios, which were of varying quality, but still relatively good. But man, I don't remember the narrator's name. I'll put it down at the bottom. But it was really, really good. And overall, just a delight. This was my book of the month for May. I give it 5 stars, and it was just such a treat to read. Please let me know in the comments down below if this is something that you have either read or are planning to read. I would just love to talk to you about it. That's all I've really got for you today, guys. So till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.